Hello, this is Ricky Santana, former superstar known around the world, NWA, WCW, WWE, WWF, you name it, I've been there. You're listening live and in color. Wolfie D.
Hey, this is Jimmy Street, host of the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. Hear the life and times of professional wrestler Wolfie D. From his time in the territories with PG-13 to his time in WWE, ECW, WCW, TNA, and more. Nothing is off limits and nothing will be held back. Thanks again for tuning in. Here he is, Wolfie D.
Welcome once again to Live and in Color with Wolfie D. And my man, Jimmy across the street. What up, dude?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I've had better weeks, though.
Yeah, I know.
I know I've talked to you a little bit about it, but I live here in this little town where it's Keystone Cops, bro. It's Keystone Cops.
Yeah, that sucks.
You know, really I got my MRI results back. Well, let's see. I had the MRI 2 days after what I'm fixing to tell you. Well, you've already heard it to the listeners, but then 4 days later, I got the results. So I've got the long head of my bicep is torn away from my shoulder. I've got a torn rotator cuff in two different spots. I've got tendonitis. I've got tendinosis, and I've also got bursitis, all in the shoulder joint there. That's. I don't think. Can you have any more stuff than that?
I mean, you could try, but I don't.
I don't think you can. I mean, honestly, I can't lift my arm out to the side. There's certain ways I can go. Like I could go straight forward a little bit. I can kind of go backwards, but I can't. Like if I was trying to do a side lateral, I can't go out.
Man,
yeah, it pops and it hurts, and yeah, I got a little sling I put on it every now and then, but I don't want to do that because I'm right-handed, bro. I'm right-handed.
Yeah, that's the hard part, man.
And let me tell you, man, when I had my tricep surgery, that was a real learning experience for what my left hand can't do.
Yeah.
And let me tell you what my left hand can't do. The worst thing my left hand can't do, think about it. What would it be, you think?
Punch, maybe. Or high five.
No. I mean, my left hand could probably punch a little bit, but I'm serious. Think about this now. I mean, feeding myself was not easy. Brushing my teeth. I'm serious. My left hand is like retarded. And
right.
I think we're in a new world now where we're not woke anymore, so I can say that. My left hand's retarded. So what would be the worst thing on your non-dominant hand that you could do?
Jerking the ween, man.
No, that's like a new chick. Come on. That's like not even a bad thing.
That's right, so true.
Actually, spell it out for you. I guess I have to spell it out for you.
Yeah, spell it.
Wiping your ass.
Oh my God. Wiping
your asshole with your left hand is a very intimidating, scary thing. I mean, it's just not. You just don't have much control over that, and so you're either. Yeah, I mean, think about it.
I can now. Wow.
Hey,
yeah,
well, I dare you. The next time you take a shit, wipe with your left hand.
You want me to right now? See, just so we can.
Yeah. I'd like for you to do it. If we can get that on tape, that'd be great. That'd be great podcasting. I wanted to say radio, but it'd be great podcasting.
Right, because you've spent like 50 years perfecting the right hand technique.
Perfecting it. 50 years. Yeah.
50 years of perfecting it.
Ever. With the exception of when I, tore the tricep and didn't have use of the right arm for 10 weeks. 10 weeks out of 50, almost 1 year now. I'll be 51 here in like a week or so. But yeah, so I've never wiped my ass with my left hand except for those 10 weeks. And it was disastrous. I didn't like it. It was scary. I kept thinking, yes, it was, dude, you don't even understand. And I swear to you and the listeners, if you're right-handed, wipe your ass next time you shit with your left hand and see what you can do.
I mean, I'm gonna just for the soul.
I don't will. I think you're.
I'll try it and I'll let you know. I'll give you a full report on next episode. I'm positive I will do that by next episode.
But yeah, so anyway, here's the other thing, man, is that I'm in Walmart. I don't know. I forget the date. It was on a Sunday night, not too long ago. And so I got a problem with the arm already where I can't wipe my ass. I can wipe my ass right now. I can, but until we have surgery, and that's what they're telling me I need surgery, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, this certain person, I'm not going to say names because I don't want to get in trouble for any of this. That has sent me messages and all this kind of stuff. I just happened to bump into him at Walmart and, just walked up and, hey, man, you got something to say to me? And them aisles are like tight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. The new Walmart. What the heck, Walmart? Like, seriously.
You barely get 2 carts through there at all. And so anyway, with no arm reaction, I'm not going there to fight somebody. I just wanted to tell this person they were doing things to my family that I didn't like.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, walk up. Brother's girlfriend comes in between us, starts pushing on me and starts like holding my arms down. One of them can't raise up, but the other one's my left hand, and I can't do much with that anyway. So then brother shoves me. Brother shoves me up against the merchandise rack there, and hell, I tried to come back, but I still got this bitch on me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can't get my arm up. I couldn't swing if I wanted to. If I wanted. So then he comes over top of her, bam, hits me, bam. This is so funny because boom, hits me, and I'm on blood thinners because of the heart problems and all that kind of stuff. So it don't take blood, and if I bleed, I'm bleeding.
Right.
Caught me a couple of times because the girl wouldn't let go of me, and I couldn't defend myself. Even if I couldn't really swing back, with the right arm or whatever. So I'm telling everybody this just to let them know. And there's some people that can read between the lines on who this person is and what a piece of shit this motherfucker is. And anyway, so the long story short is I'm sitting there leaking everywhere. Yeah. I got a cut on the back of my head, my forehead, my nose, and my lip. I got to go to the emergency room, not because I'm so fucked up that he beat me up so bad. No, he didn't like knock me out or knock me down or anything like that. The only thing was I hit my head on the ground because the bitch tripped me and let him push me down to the ground. So anyway, my lip wouldn't stop bleeding. I went and bought some liquid stuff to try to, get it to shut, and it wouldn't. Jeez. Anyway, go to the emergency room for that. And they did a little gimmick on it, what they got there, and got my lip shut because, like I said, the blood thinners, if I start bleeding, I'm bleeding.
Yeah, it's not a good sign.
So anyway, the cops came and all this shit, and I'm dude, it was like Texas death match. I'm bleeding everywhere, man. I never even got a shot off because, like I said, the girl was grabbing me and, he hit me over the top and, whatever, man, whatever. Dude, didn't knock me out. It wasn't great punches. I bleed easy.
Yeah, that sucks, bro.
It does suck. It does suck. But the cops came and all this kind of shit. But then when they went to him, he tried to hit me first.
Yeah.
So I'm with a known shoulder problem, can't raise my arm up. I'm going to go fucking swing on you, right? Because I can't swing. But that makes a lot of sense, right? And you know what? You said something to me when we talked about this earlier is the way I look and the way he looked.
Right.
The county attorney called me and hey, y'all, if you're in Somerset and you want to go steal something, go to the betting aisle, because there's no camera footage. That's what they said. There's no camera footage there. And they couldn't decipher who started it, even though at the end people were there and they were like, no, this dude was fucking, hitting this guy and, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Go to the betting aisle in Somerset if you need some new sheets or anything like that. Just go there. I'm serious. I'm not even
stick them in your pocketbook. Yeah.
Yeah. Go do that because
as if our listeners have pocketbooks, but
yeah. Go get you a new set of sheets or something because they ain't gonna be able to prove nothing is what I found out. And then he goes down and he swung on me, and so I talked to the county attorney. I think we said this, but he's like, well, there's no evidence, blah blah blah. So if I charge you, I got to charge him too, and I'll just charge both of you. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? This is some Keystone Cop backwoods ass motherfucking shit, man.
Oh, good old boy system is alive and well. Yeah,
it very much is. And the brother has got, I'm not sure how many assault charges against his ex-wife, most of the time, and his kids.
Yeah.
He's been arrested a number of times for this type of shit. But, he didn't start this one. But okay. All right. And I'm fixing to be scheduled for surgery on my shoulder. So, yeah, whatever, man. Whatever. Hopefully I took one for the team. I don't know. There's an order of protection out and all this kind of bullshit. Not against me. I don't give a fuck. You can come back at me again. Whatever.
Right.
Hopefully for this person and her child, they're going to have, safety from him. But again, when we went to court this morning, it just sounded like they're all sucking each other's cocks. But anyway, talking about her, I'm talking about the judge, the lawyer, and this fucking prick that thinks he was a wrestler. But anyway, we won't go no further into that. And we will go into Ricky Santana. This is going to be a great interview. I can't wait.
Yeah, Ricky's done a lot of stuff. He's buddies with our old buddy Fidel Sierra, trained with Bob Cook and all those guys down in the Malenkos. Lots of stuff to talk to, man. I can't wait. Of course, this is another hookup by our homie, Captain Nick.
Nick.
He's the man, dude. We appreciate you. And by the way, go to Facebook, follow Captain's Corner right now. He's got all kinds of cool stuff he's got planned coming up and stuff you can always, see in the future that he doesn't even have planned. So make sure you go there to learn about it all. But it's the Portland Wrestling Expo, February 26th.
Captain Nick needs to book us on some of this stuff.
You're saying, come on.
Color with him.
Yeah, Live and in Color live podcast. How many times have I said that, Wolfie? And nobody wants to bite, man.
Well, let's do it.
Let's just do it.
Let's just do it. Fuck it.
That's right. That's it. All right. Well, you want to get Ricky on. That's the important part, right?
Yes, sir. This is going to be good, man. I mean, like I said, I've never met Ricky. Or wait a minute. I think I did in Puerto Rico. I think I did. I don't know. I'll ask him, but we'll come back and talk to Ricky Santana.
All right. We'll be right back after these messages.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Craven, the hunter, who uses all the methods of the animals.
On December 13th.
Once you're on his list, there's only one way off.
Are you like your father?
He puts evil into the world. I get rid of people like him.
Who's next?
Witness the making of a new Marvel villain.
You think you have some kind of honor? You're a criminal, just like our father.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is Craven the Hunter. Rated R. Under 17 on admitted without parent. In theaters December 13th.
Hey, folks. To get your official Live and in Color with Wolfie D merchandise, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Live Wolfie D. Check it out.
If you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D on Apple Podcast and like what you're hearing, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating. And while you're at it, write a review. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you'd like to hear in the future. It's very important to us and always appreciated. Thanks again.
All right, guys, we're back. You survived the commercial break as always. We appreciate you tuning in. Today, we have someone who I crossed paths with down in Puerto Rico. Didn't get to, really sit down and talk and work with each other on a normal basis. But we have met each other, and that's cool. I thought so, but I wasn't for sure. So, guys, I just want to go ahead and introduce. And, Jenny, I want you to go over the specifics on the Portland Expo that they're having. And Captain Nick is the one that brought us Ricky Santana. How you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good. How about you? Everything good?
Oh, doing pretty good. Been a crappy week, but I'm over it now. And we're getting on with this show. I had to cancel you twice because of had some shit going on. But yeah, man, it's all good. You're going to be doing an expo in Portland, kind of a reuniting of a bunch of you guys up there. Jimmy, give them the specifics real quick, and then we'll let Ricky talk about it.
Yeah, so it's the Portland Wrestling Expo, February 22nd, 2025 at the Holiday Inn Portland Airport. That's 8439 Northeast Columbia Court, Portland, Oregon. Be there or miss out on a great time. Ricky will be there.
Yeah, Ricky, what do you think about that? Is that pretty cool?
I think it's a great thing. I mean, I worked out in the Northwest Territory for Don Owen on many different occasions throughout the 80s and the 90s. Last time I was out in that territory was right before it closed down like all the other territories in 1991. And, I always had good memories. The fans were always unique and special because, they didn't care what was going on around with WCW or WWF at the time or WWE. They were loyal to Don Owens, Portland Wrestling. I was simply amazed, how loyal they were to those wrestlers that went through, and the who's who has worked at Portland territory at one point or another.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of and people like I obviously never wrestled in Portland, but like a lot of people that I know did. Steve Dahl, Rex King, people like that. Both of them are great. And I was talking the last interview we had with Lynn Denton, Grappler. Yep. When we brought up talking about somebody that was in Portland, that was a big name in Portland, and now we kind of know what's happened to him. He's incarcerated. But Billy Jack, man. Billy Jack, it's like I told Lenny, I said, when I met him, and that was in like 95, 96, he came through Memphis for a little bit. I just thought anybody that looks like him and as big as him and laughs like that, something wrong with that dude, man.
Oh, Lord.
He was a strange bird, man.
Yeah, he was a unique creature for sure. I went out there and made the mistake to go to work for his OWF. Really? When I think about it, looking back, I look back at it and I go, man, he tried to open that territory in the summertime. And if you know anything about the Northwest, that's the only 3 months they get to be out of the rain, the sleet, or the snow. So worst time to pick it, But I figured I'd give it a try. He had the right concept, but after a couple of weeks, I just said, you know what, this ain't working for me. Let me just head back on down to Florida. And then eventually headed back out there because, Top Gun, my buddy Cube, he talked to Don Owens to let me come back, and Don let me know that I made a mistake. I remember first coming back into that locker room, he went over after I had spoken to him, and he said, come here, and he got everybody together, and he goes, look at this dumb son of a bitch right here. He had the balls to run opposition to me with that fucker Billy Jack. And you're probably wondering why I would bring him back. He said, because he was man enough to come to my office and tell me that he had made a mistake. And I liked the kid. And he made me money. So I brought him back. And then he looked over at me and he said, but don't think that shit's going to happen twice. And I left it at that. Don was good to me. I can't complain.
That's very cool. So did you grow up in Florida? Is that where you came up at?
Well, most of it. I mean, I'm originally from New York. So, I moved down to Florida as a teenager, and I was exposed to championship wrestling from Florida.
So that's what got you the wrestling bug, was Florida wrestling?
When we first, actually, originally, my dad used to take me to the Garden in New York. And, used to get, the WWF circuit. And then we moved to Florida, and I said, well, how am I going to, kind of watch wrestling? And at that time in Miami, before it became Univision, it was a UHF station. And on Sundays, they had a 4-hour block of wrestling that came from the Olympic in California. It came from the Oklahoma Central States territory. You had Charlotte, which at that time was all tag teams. And then the last one was obviously Florida Championship Wrestling. And I got hooked. And I told Joe Briscoe, I said, because he was, influential in helping me out when I first was breaking in. And I said, Jerry, I used to watch Gordon, and he talked about all these great amateur wrestlers like Saito and Danny Hodge and Bob Roop. And the Briscoes and this, that. So I figured I had to be an amateur. So I cut weight for almost 7.5 years trying to make way between high school and college, missing Christmas dinners and Thanksgiving dinners because I thought you had to be a great amateur wrestler to get into the pro ranks. And then I find out it's a work. You know, and Jerry looked at me with a real serious face, and he said, "Well, did you make it?" I said, "Yeah, I made it." And he goes, "Well, I guess that shit worked then." And I just looked at him. I go, "All right, Jerry, I'll leave it at that, buddy. I'll leave it at that. You still owe me about Thanksgiving dinners."
That was kind of my thinking. Like I didn't start wrestling in high school until 9th grade, and I wrestled my 9th grade year. But that was my thinking, was this is how I can be a wrestler. If I do good at this, then I can be a wrestler. And the next year, my sophomore year, halfway through the wrestling season, is when I met Gypsy Joe through another person, and then that's how I got in the business at like 15. So I just quit the wrestling team. my coach didn't like. He was also my science teacher, and so it kind of was shitty. But anyway.
Oh shit! My wrestling coach was my biology teacher.
Really? Yeah. That's funny, man. This guy, he couldn't. If you were not a dude and it was on the wrestling team, he didn't like you. I mean, it's just the weirdest thing. He just did not like you. And yeah, Coach Wingo, he's a state champion there. He's a little guy, but he was a state champion at our high school. But at any rate, okay, so you're getting the bug there in Florida. So who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Well, being that I was in Florida, obviously, Jack Briscoe, because of his amateur background and everything else. But at this time, Dusty was a heel. And I love the fact that he was this big guy. You know, didn't look like nobody else, could talk on the mic like nobody else. And then we were down at Miami Beach because my dad would take me down to Miami Beach Convention Center every Wednesday. And I saw him throw a drop kick. And I looked at it and I go, this guy is a bad guy. He can throw a drop kick. Shit, I like him, you know. And then they made him a baby face and everything worked out. And both those people were instrumental in the development of my career over the years. Dusty and the Briscoes and the Funks, you know, they were the ones that sent me to Japan. So, you know, I had a lot of the people that I saw on TV when I was a young man helped me when I was in the business to, you know, see the world. In other words, so I can't complain.
So, and you got trained by the Malenkos, right?
Yes. By the Malenkos.
And I assume your buddies with Bob Cook. He got trained there too.
Oh yeah, Bob Cook, Norman Smiley, Al Perez, Geurrero. You get the list goes on.
Right.
That you could have in there. We were there. Yeah, Tugboat, another one. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. That's so. How long did you train before you had your first match?
You know what? It wasn't very long because I knew most of the moves myself. You know, a lot of the moves I knew how to do from being a fan, obviously, but some of the moves to me, I knew how to do them as a shoot. You know,
right.
So it was a little different, but Boris, the great Malenko, you know, he said, you know, you're way ahead of what you need to do. You know, we're having you on the shows. You know, he ran his little independents in different parts in Tampa at the Boys Club and Immokalee in different places. So I got to that and got going, and then, you know, had a break to go do, you know, TV for WWF. And, you know, myself, Rusty Brooks, Corporal Kirshner, who back then went as R.T. Reynolds, and Joe Murdo, who had played for the Dolphins, who were that Florida crew. That would come up and they'd always use us, and they, you know, in Florida at TVs, you know, and they put us around the loop a couple times, and, you know, I was getting my feet wet and, you know, making a decent payday, you know. Right. So that's what got me moving along.
Who was your first match and how'd that go?
My first match was with actually a guy who was a journeyman for the Florida office. His name was Steve Brody. And I remember he called the international. One tackle, drop down, get it again, right? So I got the tackle part down. I got the drop down. I went to go get it again, and I froze like a deer in the headlights. Kicked me in the gut, snap-married me, and said, "You lost it, kid." I said, "Yeah, man, I'm so sorry." And I made a vow to myself never to forget a finish or forget a spot from that day forward, because I look like a dumbass.
Right. They'll get it again. I don't even know if anybody knows what that means anymore.
Oh no, that's call it in the ring is a whole different story.
Yeah, the whole thing is pretty much gone. Yeah, that's true.
Pretty much gone.
So here's the one that I want to hear. You got to have a good Puerto Rico story, man. What was the craziest shit you ever saw in Puerto Rico, or was a part of?
Well, I was a part of. I was there as a babyface for the longest time, right? And they wanted to take a shot at me being a heel because I had been a heel in Florida, I had been a heel in San Antonio, and I had a partner, Ray Gonzalez, and we were the Puerto Rican version of let's say a Rock and Roll Express when it came to the ladies and everything else, So here I am at TV, and we're going to do the big turn at TV. And I already parked my car out front because I already know how the fans are.
Yeah.
And I sit there and we milk it, and we get beat, and it was because we made a mistake and yada yada. And take my time, and all of a sudden, I clothesline him out of nowhere. I shake hand him outside. I post him. He gets the juice, and I walk him over to the crowd. And the TV place, they have that big metal railing between the crowd and the people.
Yep.
And I said, "This is your superhero. Let's see if he can fly." And I threw him into the fans. Mm-hmm. And as I threw him into the fans, I was going straight to the front door because that's where my car was parked.
Yeah.
And there's only 4 security guards. And as I'm walking out the thing, there must have been 200 people out there throwing punches.
Oh, man.
And there's only 4 of us. So I don't know if you remember Victor Arroyo. He worked in the office and was in charge of the security. He said, "Get in the TV truck," because we can't stop them. So he get in the TV truck, and they break the windows out of the TV truck.
Holy
and
fuck!
They're trying to tip it. And I remember Augustine Ramos, who was the producer. He said, "Kid, I love you like a son, but I ain't gonna die for you. I'm gonna hop out the back, and I'm locking the door." And I said, "Okay, right." And they're calling me every name in the book. And then the one guy said, "You're dying tonight."
Damn.
And I'm thinking, I'm standing inside this truck. Let me lay down in case they decide to shoot into it.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm laying there and, waiting for the SWAT team to come in. And the SWAT team comes in there and they clear everybody out. They open the truck door and I get out. And they were still yelling, "You're a dead man, you're there, that." But that wasn't good enough. That Saturday, we're at the baseball stadium and Ray is driving. And I had this wild idea, and I told Carlos about it. And I drove in through the outfield at the baseball stadium in a rent-a-car. I parked up because the ring would sit on top of the pitcher's mound.
Yep.
Pulled up. I got out of the car. I beat the shit out of Ray again. I juiced him again. I got back in the car and drove out. They were throwing bottles and bricks, everything at the poor rent-a-car, So it really got heated for the longest time. I had some serious heat. But, that was one of the craziest things. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. Even the first time I got to the island, I went to TV and did, the 6 shows that they had to do. And I'm outside and I'm talking to the new fans and the ladies and all that. And here comes 2 guys running by, shooting at each other. And I'm thinking, what the hell did I sign up for? And the lady says, "That's okay. That's just normal. Just those are the drug guys over there from the hood, from the projects."
Jesus.
I said, "Yeah, okay. All right. I'm okay with this. As long as they ain't shooting at me, I'm good."
Yeah. No shit, right? Yeah, that place is just nuts. It was still nuts, in '94 when I was there. And obviously, you talk about the SWAT people. When I did the icy hot thing, and then the dude pulled out the gun, and the dressing rooms weren't connected at that building. I guess it was the TV building, yeah. And so
they weren't.
Pulls out the gun over there. And then the guy you were talking about, director of security guy, I think that's the one that called the police, the SWAT people. And me and Jamie look out there, and there's all them with shields and all this shit standing around the arena. And we're thinking they were there to get us, because we done got one of their guys or something and shit. But no, they was there to protect our asses.
Yeah, they let you get out.
Yes, they did. They took us to the car. That was nuts, man. Jimmy, I'm going to roll across the ring, and I'm going to hot tag you.
All right, taking the hot tag with Ricky Santana, or should I say Aldo Marino, maybe.
That was the name that they gave me in New York because they already had a Santana and they already had a Ricky.
Well,
I was told that we don't need another one. I said, okay. I went with the punches. I just wanted to get a payday.
Yeah. No, but I just remember you, and that's such a nostalgic time of pro wrestling for me. 1985, 84, 85, and just listen to this, Wolfie. So like these are the guys he was working here. So Bret Hart, the Freebirds, the Moondogs, Greg Valentine, Bob Orton, Nikolai and the Sheik, the Heenan family, Big John Studd, Ken Patera, Rene Goulet, Bob Orton, Magnificent Morocco, George Steele, King Kong Bundy, Brutus Beefcake.
Golden years, man.
Seriously, right? Jesse Ventura. But the one thing that I noticed during that time, Aldo, that's really, and I mean, again, that is like the cartoon era. This is my childhood right here. But I noticed that on let's see, March 16th of 85, it says you were defeated, I'm so sorry to say, by Les Thornton, and this was WWF Georgia Championship Wrestling. So you were around when that happened.
Oh, yeah, when they had that infamous Saturday where Vince had come in there and
TBS was now,
yeah, TBS, it was in there, and I worked with Les Thornton, who by all accounts to me, he would put me in holds and reverse me out of holds on his own. He was just that good.
Yeah.
That, I didn't, I couldn't complain about it. We came up from Florida, getting paid good and everything else. And yeah, I worked with a who's who of the great stars in that era when the territories were being bought up and everything else. And that was the main reason that, I was told I couldn't use either one of those names because they already had Ricky Steamboat.
Right.
They had Santana, which was Tito. So being from Miami, 84, Marino's in the Super Bowl. Gino tells me, well, you're going to be a Marino. And they love that name, Aldo. I mean, they had Montoya and Bogny. And they had a bunch of those. He says, hey, you look Italian to me. I said, okay, whatever. I mean, you want to, whatever you guys want to do, I just want to get experience. And believe me, with all that, you mentioned Greg the Hammer, and it was kind of like a rib that they wanted me to do on Greg. And Jerry comes up, and Jerry says, can you do me a favor, kid? I'm young. Yeah, sure, Jerry, whatever. And he said, you got Valentine. And I said, yeah. And he says, he does that big forearm. I said, yeah. He says, just do me a favor. Say something sarcastic but not disrespectful to him when he's out there. I want to see how he reacts. I said, all right, no big deal. We're in Poughkeepsie, and the ring's upstairs and the locker rooms are downstairs. So I'm up there, and Greg leans back, and he goes to hit me. Boom. And I just looked up, real nonchalant, and I said, that's it? Oh, my God, you'd have thought I, crucified him. He hit me with about 10, 15 in a row, boom, 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 boom.
Man.
Finish, figure four. The enhancement gets out first and leaves a superstar in there. Coming down the stairs, and you could hear the feet coming down the stairs like fast. The bottom of the stairwell, there's the Funks, there's the Briscoe, and there's Steamboat. And I get to the bottom, and Greg's right behind me, right? And he's right there, and he goes, he sees them all down. He goes, kid, I knew you weren't that stupid. I just want to know who put you up to it. And I turned around, and I just said, I'm not at liberty to, tell you my sources. Right? Walked away. And, Jerry come up to me. I guess he loved my response. And he goes, kid, you got potential, but you got to hone your talent. You're going to get lost in the shuffle here because everybody's here now. And I said, Jerry, I don't have any family members. I don't have those kind of connections. This is like the mob back then. Unless you do somebody, you weren't going nowhere.
Right.
And, he said to me, he says, well, Chavo Guerrero Sr. just took the book in San Antonio. Do you want to go to San Antonio? I said, yeah. So, here, you call me tomorrow at this time, and don't be late. And the whole thing ended up going to San Antonio, working for Chavo Guerrero Sr. So it all worked out on a rib. So that was the funny part to me.
Yeah.
And my question is, did you no sell him? Did you bump or anything, or you just said that to him?
No, he had me. He had me in the rear chin, and he reared back and he hit me.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
And that's when I said it to him. And then he proceeded to give me the 900 million other ones, and everyone kept coming in harder and harder. So I had to sell those, obviously. But, that's another thing. Dean, I'll tell you another one. Bob Orton Jr., we're in Miami, and Chief Jay Strongbow's the agent, and he comes up and he goes, listen, you're working with Bobby Orton, and, need about 8 or 9 minutes. Because we're still waiting on some of the talent to get in. I said, okay. So it's my hometown, right? I walk over and he goes, let me introduce you to Bobby. And he comes over and Bobby goes, hey, yeah. He says, you're going to be working with the kid, take care of him 8 or 9 minutes. It's his hometown.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to Bob, I said, Bob, is there anything special I need to know?
Mm-hmm.
And he was reading a book and he looked up and he said, do you know my finish? I said, yeah, superplex from the top. You got a problem with it? I said, no, sir. I'll see you out there. That was the extent of the conversation.
Yeah.
So I go out, and he backs me into the corner. And he says, Chief says you're a good kid. You came from the Malenko school, and you know how to listen. Okay, let's tell you what, kid. I'm going to nail you twice. The third time, I want you to duck. Feet out. Here I come. Hip toss. Arm drag. Drop kick. Arm drag. Drop kick. I'll roll out. You come do that Mexican dive. I'll come around the pole. Got it? Let's go. That's how fast he called the spot.
Wow.
And I said, okay. And and he went around the corner and he's shaking his finger at me. He's going, hey, yeah, Chief was right. He says, come on out after me. I'll cut you off. So I go out, he rolls in, I roll in, he gives me the elbow, grabs the rear chin lock, and then I hear those infamous words, boring. And I panic. And I go, Bobby, that sounds boring. What is it? Bobby looked around and goes, boring. I'll show you boring. And he leaned down and he says, kid, we ain't moving for 10 minutes. We didn't move for 10 minutes. And I'm like, okay. And then, he milked it up. He gave me a big comeback, go to the top, and cut you off and get out of here.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
Yeah.
And then get to the back, and we went like almost 16 minutes. And Chief was just like sideways,
Yeah.
What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. And he goes, Chief, make up your mind. You told me to take care of the kid. I took care of the kid. What the fuck you want from me? Okay, that was the end of that. I mean, what am I going to do? So, when I went in and got my CAC award about 4 years ago, Bobby was there, and I told that story of when I said, boring, I'll show you boring, we ain't moving for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
People knew, he was in control. He popped on it, but yeah. I have a lot of respect
the way
for
it was. I mean, that's what I was going to just say a minute ago. Was I want to explain that to the listeners that back then, if you started chanting boring, we weren't going to do nothing because we would show you boring until we thought it was time to do something, because that was the thing: is don't get rabbit ears, don't let the people control your match. Well,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Y'all
you
won
control what goes on. Yep.
That's funny.
Let's take a quick time out and get a word from one of my dope-ass sponsors, and we'll be right back with more Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
The Portland Wrestling Expo will take place on Saturday, February 22nd at the Holiday Inn Portland Airport. The PWE will be a celebration of the unique past and present of the Pacific Northwest area. It's presented by Captain's Corner. Announced guests include the Grappler, Mean Mike Miller, Top Gun, Ricky Santana, Moondog Moretti, John Nord, and C.W. Bergstrom. There will even be a Portland Wrestling History Q&A. In addition, there'll be international guests such as Hall of Famers Eric Bischoff, Rikishi, crowd favorites like The Boogeyman and Lance Von Erich. Make sure to head on over to pwexpo.com to get your tickets. VIP tickets are already half sold. The Portland Wrestling Expo, on Saturday, February 22nd. Be there.
Man, and right after you're here with all these like legend or future legends, I should say at this time, then you go literally, like you said, you go work for Chavo in San Antonio, and then you are basically married to, we love Paul Diamond on this show. He's a great guy. And Shawn Michaels, one of the greatest of all time. Yeah, what's that other guy's
Shawn.
name?
Yeah, Shawn was 18. Yeah, I remember. I remember him coming out, and I knew that he had the potential and the talent.
I was just about to ask you, because Wolfie hates that question. Basically, I'm like, Wolfie, did you think Randy Orton was going to be famous? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And people always ask him, and he's like, sometimes I don't know, maybe, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was on Gerald and JBL's, and they asked me the same question, right? And I said, I saw potential in him and everything else, but I also thought he was a prima donna. I mean, that's I'm just being honest with you.
Sure.
And we worked around the loop with him. We were doing the Twin Devil mask type of gimmick with Tony Torres under the other hood mask with me, and it was just like. We had to sometimes pull teeth, not so much with Paul, because I knew Paul from Malenko, right?
Yeah.
He was easy to work with, and and it was me, Paul, and Tugboat as roommates, in a 1-bedroom apartment. You know how that is when you're starting out. You're a baloney blowout. So, it was one of those things that, we ended up popping the territory, and then, things got changed around and everything else. And luckily for me, I met Wahoo when he came in for a shot, and Wahoo was booking in Florida, and when San Antonio was done, Wahoo told me to tell him to give me a call when you're done here, and I did, and I went to Florida. So
yeah.
That's how it was back then,
Yeah.
You had a different beast, and I'm old school because I was trained old school, but I understand new school logic. I understand all the different things, and I make my own opinion and assessments of what the business is and what they should do, and you can take it for what it's worth. And I try to help all the young talent to make sure that they have longevity in the business, as opposed to one and done type of deals, as I call them.
Yeah. And I've talked about that a lot on here too, with the shelf life of a wrestler really is not what it used to be. You ain't going to have no Ricky Mortons and these guys that are still wrestling up into their 70s anymore. You're just not going to have it, man. They're doing way too much. And I mean, I've said it 100 times, 1,000,000 times. A bump card's real, man. A bump card is real.
Well, Terry Funk told me that. There's no waste them, Sonny. You only got so many in you. And when they run out, there's no way to reboot. Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
I believed him 100%, because, you 20s, okay, I could bump like all night long. 30s,
right.
It's not, 40s, I got 7 in here, let's make them 7 count, I mean, yeah. So some of that stuff, is unnecessary,
Yeah.
You're just looking for that, this is awesome,
right.
chant, or you deserve it chant. No, to me, I want to be able to be heard. You earned it, not necessarily that I deserve it. I earned it. I sacrificed. And then a lot of the guys sacrifice it, all these guys with backs and knee replacements and everything else. I go to the Legends luncheon every 3 months here in Florida, and you see the boys. We're all hopping, but I mean, it's just the nature. You know what you signed up for. You know what you were getting into, and you can't complain about it. That's just my theory on it.
Yeah,
100%.
So I'm looking forward to the Portland deal because obviously Lynn Denton, the Grappler, was out there. I worked a lot with Lenny out there. Mike Miller. He hated. Not working with me, he hated the gimmick matches because my gimmick match out there was the Indian strap match. And Luke Brown, who was, part of the Kentuckians with Grizzly Smith, he loved to see me wind up and tag him heels with it. He used to get off on it. And I got so good at it that I could hit you with it and cut you with a strap, break your skin. And they would try to break mine, and I wouldn't I'd be red, but I wouldn't welt up like that, and Mike just couldn't understand it. So I went, first I started with BOWTIE D, King Curtis's kid, and I worked through him. Then I went into Mike, and then eventually to Rip, and moved on, and then came back and was a baby face. And then Roddy had the great idea to make us a heel tag team, me and Curtis Thompson. So we became the U.S. Males MALE because we deliver. We were voted the tag team of the Northwest in 1990. And it was a different type, and looking at it, and I get to see guys out there that I haven't seen in a while. Rikishi's on the promotion, and he came to Puerto Rico with, the Samoan SWAT team. So, I worked with him, and I worked with Yoko down there too before, Rodney. And, you see that. And then Ricky Vaughn, who was out there in the Northwest, who became Lance Von Erich.
Yeah, that's where he started.
He texted me the other day. Yeah. He texted me the other day. I haven't seen you since South Africa. You see these people around, you see them all coming through, and then Moondog Moretti. I worked with him out there, and you have obviously Top Gun. My old tag team partner.
Yeah,
for many years. So it's good to see us all there at one time. And I guarantee you, when we all get together, we're still going to feel like it was. 80s and the 90s, and still talking shit like we used to, and just having a good time. So I'm looking forward to it, because a lot of great memories out there. The towns were close except for Medford. You always have that one town in territory that you hate to go to. It's a long drive, and it's all part of the history of that Northwest. And Don Owens was one of the best payoff men in the business. During the territory.
That's what we've heard.
Him and Paul Bosch out of Houston.
Yeah.
They paid the money. So I'm looking forward to all of that. When the captain asked me, would I be interested? I said, absolutely. One of only a couple guys to hold all their titles out there. So I guess that's my claim to fame of the Northwest.
Yeah, definitely. Well, somebody who's kind of, and unfortunately and I'm sure they would be there if they were still with us, and they've kind of become what's called like an internet darling. And I don't get to hear enough about this guy, but everything I see from him, especially when he was in a tag team with Eddie Geurrero, Art Barr. Do you have any Art Barr stories?
Well, at first, Art was a referee.
Yeah, okay.
And Art used to have a lot of my matches, and I had a young lady friend who would always go to the matches, and her dad was kind of connected, and I had a cage match with Rip Oliver, and Rip Oliver, thumb to the throat, the usual stuff, take the title, typical storyline. And she was hot because she wasn't smart. You didn't smart nobody up back then. And she was hot, and she was screaming at the referee because he didn't see it. And Art just told her, shut up, bitch. And it wasn't the right thing to do to that particular girl. She made a call to her dad. And then she tells me what happened, and that so-and-so's coming to make sure that he understands that I'm not a bitch and this, that, and the other. And I walk in, I said, Art, buddy, what'd you do, buddy? I didn't know she was with you. I said, that's not a question of with me or not with me. It's who she knows. And I kind of explained it to him. He goes, what do I do? And I just go out there and apologize to her. And then I'll follow out and I'll say, call off the goons, one of those things. Yeah. And that's what he did. And he came back and he thanked me for it. And I said, because, you're just 18, bro. I want to see you around for a while, But,
so the hitman never showed up?
Well, no, she called him off. She said, Dad, it's okay. He apologized.
Gotcha.
He took care of it. And then the dad, thanked me for it. He said, hey, thank you for, looking out for my daughter. And I said, yeah, okay. I don't want to end up in a pine box either, buddy. But yeah. Anyway, that was the deal. And I said, Art, you just got to be careful because you don't know who you're talking to and who's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, And he said, thank you. Give him a little life lesson, in life. But we always kept in touch, and untimely passing that he had. especially when he was doing that good run with Eddie. Another one that my daughters took really, really hard when we lost Eddie, because when we were together in WCW and everything, we'd be in Florida, he'd stay with me, and, he loved Spanish food, so the missus would cook for him all the time. And, my daughters were, they were young at the time. They were like 4 and 5 with Eddie, and, they're in their 30s now, but they took it really, really hard, because he was so loved at the house, all the Guerreros. I mean, that whole family, I see Hector all the time, and I communicate with them, but, they taught me a lot about the business,
Yeah.
Especially going to Mexico. They taught me about that too.
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to talk about another person, we got to talk about Fidel, man. I would, we've had him on the show before, and he's like, I told him he was the Forrest Gump of pro wrestling, because he's been everywhere and every place, and you're the same way, man. You know what I mean? You guys are just talk about your buddy, man, because Fidel was hilarious, man. He was funny.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Did he tell you the story how we met in the ring in Florida?
I don't think so.
I'm trying to remember.
Right? So it's TV, and I see my name up there, and it says Cuban Assassin, right? So I said, okay. All right, so I get out to the ring, and I'm waiting for he comes out, and he's got the fatigue, and I said, well, he looks like Fidel, but I wonder if he's really Cuban, because, back then, everybody was a gimmick,
Right.
I mean, Ivan wasn't really Russian, and, and all that other, stuff that goes on. So he ties up, and I'm thinking, I say, he looks Mexican to me. So he ties up and he goes, give me an arm drag, So I give him a Mexican arm drag, that one knee flip it.
Yeah.
And he gets up and he goes, what the hell was that? And, he ties up, and, we're working, and he was coming through because he was on his way to Japan. So I get out, and we're going to Miami Beach that night after TV, because that was the normal schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And Conti giving me the finish, and he says, one more thing. Cuban wants to know if you know who Jack Briscoe is. I said, of course I know who Jack Briscoe is, man. What, I live under a rock? And he goes, okay. So I get out there, and he ties up, and he goes, hey, Bobby, ask you a question? I said, yeah. He goes, so you know who Jack Briscoe is? I said, of course I do. He goes, okay, then give me a Jack Briscoe arm drag. That's bullshit you get me on TV. So I, bridged, and he goes over the top, and he goes, shit, now we can work, kid, the whole bit. And we've never looked back, and that's, that's a 40-year friendship and relationship that, we've been down the road, good, bad, indifferent, had to bury parents, gone to funerals. He's more than just, a friend. He's part of that brotherhood for me. I mean, we talk every day, because that's just us, we still talk shit to each other, he makes fun of me, I make fun of him, but that's the bond that I have with him.
Right.
And, I always tell him, I said, I need your social. And he says, you need my social? I said, yeah, because I carried you for 40 years. I might as well claim you as a dependent. And I was like, yeah, you son of a bitch. I did all the best. You didn't do nothing. I did the opening spots, the eat spot. They gave you the hot tag for the finish. I did it all, He gets all sideways on me. He says, well, you're supposed to. I'm younger than you. I said, shit. But, it's all good. Fidel's, he's my brother from another mother.
Yeah. Now,
hey, do you have one person I'd like to hear a good story about? Because unfortunately, I have a embarrassing story with this person, but they've heard it 100 times on here. What about Abdullah, man? You got some good Abdullah stuff?
Well, my first tour to Japan for All Japan, it was their World League Tag Team Tournament. I was partners with Doug Furness.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was the third night of a 30-day tour, right? It was Abby and Ben, Kamala too, right? Mm-hmm. And I started off in the ring, and I know Abby's style from Puerto Rico, blood and guts, kicking ass and everything. Right. So he boom, 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 throws me outside. And he starts hitting me, and he yells to me, fight back, fight back. So, I fight back, boom, 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 boom. And then Abby yells, monkey flip. I said, what? we're outside. Monkey foot me, champ. Monkey foot me. I said, okay. So I jump up on him, and I had to literally, push him. Good thing, I had some strong legs back then. And he takes the bump on the thing, and the crowd went nuts. Here's Abby, boom. He takes that monkey flip out on the floor, and he says, grab the TV box, kid. Hit me with it. Okay, so I picked up that TV box, and I hit him with it, and gaps him, and he's got it going. He gets in, and boom, boom, boom. He says, roll me in. I roll him in. I go to get it. He says to me, okay, kid, it's over. And he gives me the chop on the road. And I sell for him, and da-da-da. We go into the finish between us in the tag match and everything else. And I got to the back, and I said, thanks, Abby. I mean, I didn't expect to monkey flip you on the floor, and you were going to get juice for me. And he said, yeah, I seen you in Puerto Rico. I like you, kid. Carlos likes you. I just want to make sure you make a good impression so you can keep coming back. I said, well, I appreciate it, Abby. I mean, that was Abby. He was, that major star in Japan. Put us on. He was the man.
Yeah.
When he called monkey flip, I said, holy shit. All right, champ. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you this because I think it'll pop you. So when I was down there in Puerto Rico, somehow after the show, it was at the baseball stadium. It was just me and him left in the dressing room. That's it. Just me and him. And I was already dressed and everything. And he was getting changed and then getting ready to get in the shower. And he still had like boxers on or something, some kind of shorts or something. And he's over getting in the shower there, and he goes, "Hey, champ." I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Can you wash my back for me?" I was like, "Oh, fuck, I'm 19 years old. I'm in Puerto Rico. They just killed Brody down here. What the fuck, man?" Yeah. So I didn't know what to do. But, all this is going through my mind very quickly, though. And I'm like, sure, yeah, sure. So I walk over there and, I'm standing as far away from him as I fucking can. Start washing on his back and whatnot. And then, so the conclusion to this, though, is nobody sees it or anything, and I don't tell anybody. But then, I don't know, 3 years ago, we're at a convention in Tennessee, and Abby's there, and this is the first time I've seen him since then. And I was telling Sabu the story, and Sabu's dying laughing, right? He's like, you gotta tell him. And so I went over and I started telling him the story. And in the meantime, I got somebody, because this was like connected to a hotel. So I got somebody go get me a wash rag from the hotel and bring it over there. And I had Abby sign it and take a picture with me with the wash rag.
Yeah, with the wash rag. I love it. Oh, I love it. Yeah. Young boy, watch back there.
Yeah, man, it was like, damn.
Abby was infamous for doing things out of the norms. Remember, we were in Puerto Rico, and he's coming out of taking a shower, and he's got his towel wrapped all the way around him, and he says to me, he says, "Hey, champ," he says, "I've been watching what I've been eating." I said, "Oh, good for you, Abby." He said, "Yeah, I've dropped a lot of weight." I said, "Really? Really?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "I'm thinking of doing a magazine shoot, so I want to look my best." And I said, "Oh, okay." And he says, "What do you think?" I said, I don't know. What magazine?" And he drops his towel and he goes, "For Playgirl." And I go, "Abby, I didn't need that. I'm scarred for life." He was laughing. He picks his towel up. And he goes over to get dressed, and I just kind of said, okay. I don't know if you're ready for Playgirl yet, Abby, but holy cow. But, yeah, he's always had that rapport with Abby for sure. Hey, champ.
Yeah. And that is funny, though, when you, I'm seeing this dude as a kid, right? And one of the, that look you would have on his face with those big eyes and, almost the emotionless face and all that. And you're thinking, dude, this guy's a killer. And then you meet him and he's like, "Hey, champ." It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, another guy like that was Ray Candy. You look at Ray Candy, and he was as big as a house. And, he'd be in the ring, and the referee had come in between us, and I remember telling him, and referee gets him the break, And he said, the referee done saved your life, boy. Referee done saved your life. I said, hey, don't talk, bro. Don't talk. You're going to kill your gimmick. You're going to kill your gimmick. That ain't funny. That ain't funny. I said, don't say nothing, bro. Just be efficient. Come on. Oh, but yeah, he was good people too, man. Come on, man. He was.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Well, stop by Captain's Corner, where you can get autographed photos, cards, magazines, and figures from all of your favorite wrestling superstars of the past, present, and future. You'll also be able to participate in live signings in the weeks and months to come. Make sure to stop by Captain's Corner on Facebook and give us a holler. Remember, cheers to the working man.
I read online that you worked for WCW and WWE as an agent. Is that?
Yes.
So did you go over from WCW to WWE when they bought it, or?
Yes. It was a process, obviously.
Yeah.
When they came into Pensacola, you seen everything going.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Jerry sat next to me, asking me, who ran the Gorilla, who did this, who did that, and this, that, and the other. And then it was a process of incorporating it, and we literally had to interview. I met with Jim Ross to come back in as a producer for WWF until we did the Eve Power.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I still had my servants package from WCW.
Right.
And I was getting money from there, and I went down to work for Carlos in the meantime. Got to make money on both ends, and then ended up, being their tag champ, and then turning around and getting the call from Jim that, got to come on board. I got to be at Raw on Monday. So, I had to tell him I'm leaving.
Wrapping me up.
And, Carlos has always been good to me. I still go down and produce his anniversary shows, and they were doing some pay-per-views for a while, and I produced them for him. Making sure everything ran on time. So I learned all that being the producer and the agent, and I learned a lot, working for WWE on production and timing and the Gorilla and all that good stuff. So it comes in handy when you're doing live TV and all those things that you have to be on cue and be on time and know where to shave. And definitely, I figured my body can't last forever. I might as well learn something behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, exactly. That makes sense. So let me ask you this then. So I guess, and this may be a longer question than we even have time for, but I guess I want to make it short and sweet here. So I know that there were talks, we've heard it a million times from different shows, that there were talks of Eric Bischoff trying to get a company started at the end of WCW. And then obviously, he's said it many times that WCW went way cheaper than we even offered to buy it. But long story short, I guess Vince actually did it. Whatever. Did you have any talks about going to that other or to Eric Bischoff's team, or did you also think that maybe WWE was going to continue the WCW brand, that kind of thing?
Well, originally we had, we knew that it was at that point, and Eric was in negotiations, and they had everything just about all filled up. And then all of a sudden that AOL Time Warner merger, and the president decided that the clientele and the demographics of TNT was way above wrestling fans. So we didn't have a TV program because they weren't going to give us the time.
Yeah.
So not having the time, what good is having a wrestling company if you don't have no TV time?
Right.
So Vince swooped in, and, can't blame him. He bought it all. But I thought when that all first happened, I said, well, wow, that's the big thing. It's kind of like, you see Taco Bell and KFC next to each other, sometimes in the same place under the same thing. The prices go out. I figure, okay, Vince could own this, two separate entities. Let Shane run one, build it up, do an invasion angle, build it up, have a big blow off at a WrestleMania, WCW versus that, and to incorporate and make, one big, happy family. But that wasn't the case.
Man, I was kind of hoping it would have been like a, American League, National League, or AFL in it, that kind of thing. And they put it together under one big umbrella, maybe at the WrestleMania for like a annual Super Bowl, whoever plays one another. You know what I mean? But dude.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And that wasn't the case. It was like, okay, we're going to keep a couple of you guys, and the rest of you guys will wish you all the best in your future endeavor.
Yeah.
You know?
How long did you end up staying with WWE?
I ended up staying there probably till they made the final cuts, because at WCW, I was in charge of the cruiserweights.
Oh, okay.
And I had all of them, and I also was in charge of Haku. He was my deal there, because I knew him for so long because we lived so close. And when it all came down, they I remember right after the Chicago, I think it was a pay-per-view of the TV. I'm not really. They told me that I was coming off the road, and they were giving me a service package and this, that, and the other. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what am I going to do? I knew it was coming because I saw other people getting cut, and they incorporated a lot of people. They already had their fixed agents sitting there. But I learned, all about the commissions and the cost of the arenas and the money and the advance and how was the weather, how many people took draws, all the actual work that the agents did, for events and call in and everything else. So, it was a learning experience, but, I was hoping it would have been a longer run, but, they just kept a few. And the ones that they kept, because they're the ones that they're still hanging around. Not too many, I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, it's like anything. In any company, in the real world, when they make a merger, they're gonna, last one in, first one out. So I don't have the regrets, because I learned a lot, and I've utilized it. But I'd have loved to have stayed longer. I'd have loved to have stayed. My contract was for 3 years.
Yeah,
and I still got my contract. So
that's cool. That's cool.
But it didn't end up going 3 years. But I had my 3-year contract, so it was good.
Yeah. I'd like to add one more last question here, because it kind of wouldn't be my show if I didn't talk about this. So in reading your stuff, I just never see the word Memphis. And, that's where I've made my name. That's just recently I've, had the honor of being inducted into the Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Awesome privilege there. Did you never come through Memphis at all?
I had an opportunity to go to Memphis. I had discussed it with Lawler. Coming out of Puerto Rico, me and Ray Gonzalez, I said, I got us. We can go in there. We can make a ton of money, because I knew that the Fabs had made a ton of money, Steve and Stan. We were that same type of gimmick, did all them double team spots, ladies, man, that whole persona, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't want to leave the island. He didn't want to leave. So from there, I just said, okay, I'm not going to homestead it here, because my home's in Florida. I'll come in and out, but I'll spend my 8 or 9 months and go about my business. But he never decided to go, because I had a starting date.
Did you?
And then I said, hey, he said, as soon as you tell me go, you'll 2 weeks from now you'll be here and we'll do TV. I said, okay. Well, I asked him and he said no, and I said, hey, my partner doesn't want to go. Appreciate the offer. And then I think I went on to WCW, which was still part of the NWA. I knew Kevin obviously from Florida and the Crockett's in that territory. So Kevin was there, and he gave me a starting date, and then I went there. So, I kept going. My whole thing when I broke into business, I said I want to learn every style. And I want to go all the way around the world. I want to know the American. I want to know the blood and guts. I want to know the European. I want to know the Japanese. I want to know the Lucha Libre. And I got a chance to do them, so I can't complain. So that's the way I looked at it. But I would have loved to have gone into Memphis. I would have loved to have gone into Memphis.
Jimmy, you want to give them the rundown on the expo again?
Yeah, man. One more time. The Portland Wrestling Expo, of course, with our buddy Captain's Corner. That's Saturday, February 22nd, Portland, Oregon. It's at the Holiday Inn Portland Airport, 8439 Northeast Columbia Court, Portland, Oregon. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of your old buddies, man. I can't wait to hear all about it. I'm sure it's going to be a blast.
Absolutely. And I ask the people, get your tickets early, because this is the first time anybody's ever done that. And I know the captain, he always runs a top-notch event. And you get to see a lot of the guys that went out there. Unfortunately, a lot of them that were out there are no longer with us. And here's your chance to reminisce with the heydays of the Portland wrestling territory in the 80s and the 90s, before everything went south, for sure.
Yeah. Well, man, we appreciate you coming on today, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And again, thank you and good luck in everything that you're doing. Tell all the Florida boys hello.
I will do that. You guys enjoy the rest of the day and a lot of success with your deal going on, and keep it going, because that's what keeps people interested, especially old school. You know, that everybody talks current, not too many talk old school. So some good stuff.
That's
Amen. Amen.
All right. Take care of yourself, my man.
Thank you, Ricky.
All right. Thank you.
Care.
Be good, guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
We'll be right back with Ask Wolfie D Anything.
DJ, hit the music. All right, we are back.
We are back with Ask Wolfie D Anything. Jimmy, I want to say it first.
You got it. It's yours. It's your show. We're good. But no, seriously, man, Ricky Santana, bro, that was very cool. You know,
well,
like you said, we didn't know him, but I've known his career.
Great stories. Answered all the questions. Yeah, I love our show, Jimmy. I really love our show, and I hope the listeners do too.
I think so. I think
I hope the guys that come on love it, and whatever. I just happy feelings today.
Yeah, amen. I like it. Well, the first question we have is from Brad Freeland on Facebook, and this one is a good question because I just think it's a good question. So he starts with this. He says, after the matches.
Hold on a second. It's a good question because you think it's a good question. All right. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go. All right,
That's the clearing point. Yeah. So after the matches at the bar, having a few relaxers, was it common that guys would try you or the boys? Like
having a few relaxers.
Means,
the muscle relaxers. I don't know.
Drinks,
and who was going to try me? Who?
Like somebody, somebody sees the boys out and the girls are paying attention to you all, and it's a regular guy.
I mean, dude, that was probably more in the 80s and stuff. 90s, didn't really get too much of that. Not to say that we didn't have any altercations every now and then, but it was more ha-ha with that. You know what I'm saying? I've told you stories of things where people just laughed at the shit we were doing and laughed at this and that and the other. So no, it wasn't too many fights, been pulled over. We fought each other, not just me and Jamie, but the boys, but been pulled over and the cops would be like, hey man, you'll sign this. I'll fucking let you go. And I'm like, all right, thank you very much. But not too many fights because everybody wanted to be your friend. In my experience, everybody wanted to be your friend.
Yeah. It did. I could see what you're saying. Not that I was in it, but I can definitely see what you're saying, that it would have changed. Like the guys wanted to hang out with you more than fight you at that point, which is cool.
Exactly.
Man, that's cool. Well, that's a good question, Brad, and a great answer, Wolfie. So thank you for that. So the second one is from Daniel Chad Whitehead on Facebook. Daniel always asks some great questions. And this one, I think I know the answer, but I would like to hear your conversation about it. So he says, did you ever get to meet Tojo Yamamoto?
No, I did not meet Tojo Yamamoto, but I was at Tojo's funeral.
Yeah.
The first wrestling funeral I ever attended. I was, I think, 15 years old. Me and my stepdad went there, Tojo. And so that was the first wrestling funeral that I ever attended. Saw Jerry Jarrett do the eulogy, crying and all that kind of stuff. And I know that's kind of and I'm not making fun. I'm just saying that was kind of a thing that they talk about where Jerry was crying and stuff. But anyway, I did not meet Tojo, but the first wrestling funeral, that I would ever attend was Tojo Yamamoto.
Man,
crazy.
That is crazy, especially that. Yeah, I think that's respect showing that you went. Even though you didn't know him, but that was that was cool, and I'm sure that helped. Helped some of the people to see like, hey, Wolfie's in this with us. So that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, showing your respects. I mean, everybody loves Tojo. From what I hear, I've heard so many stories on my podcast about all the guys that just love Tojo and Gypsy Joe. So that's cool, man. Well, that's a great answer. Thank you, Wolfie. And this third one is actually this is a good hypothetical one, and I want to hear your thoughts. So it's Keenan Brown from Facebook, and he says Airwolf versus Wolfie D versus Cyberpunk Fire versus Slash. Who wins?
A 4-way dance.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Airwolf's out first. Okay. So, damn. I wish they would give me the rules. Is it a first 10?
Yeah. Let's do an elimination. Yeah.
Elimination.
Yeah. Let's do an elimination.
Airwolf's out first. He's a kid. Bless him.
Poor guy.
Good kid. I think. Okay. Then we got. I think. Fire's out next.
Yeah, he tried.
Yeah, he did. And then he tried the karate, but it didn't work. And then you got Wolfie D versus Slash. That's like, I've wanted to draw a picture of this for so long.
Dude, we need a T-shirt of that. Yeah.
Yeah, me standing over. I don't know which one is which. I'm not going to say it. But yeah, I love Slash. I think Slash was more me than anything. But then again, Wolfie D was more me at a certain age. And that's why I changed it into Slash. So I think they're both very, very cool wrestlers. So who goes over in this journey? Oh, my God. I think that Wolfie D beats Slash.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, he pulls it through because here we're looking at this. We want to send him home happy, right? And Wolfie's the ever-loving baby face.
Some kind of heat, and then fucking Wolfie pulls the hubcap out and fucking nails Slash a couple of times. And
so can I manage Wolfie D, or is Jamie managing Wolfie D? And then it's Jim Mitchell versus Jamie. and then so Jamie somehow helps you get it, or is it all on you? I'm just kidding.
No, it's all on me. It's all on me. And if Jim Mitchell fights Jamie, Jim Mitchell goes over. He'll get Jamie the pointed boot in his butthole, I promise.
Man, poor guy. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. I like that. Yeah, I think that's it. And I like that you're sending him home happy with the baby face going over, but it's not going to be easy. And Wolfie is not coming out whole, right? He's literally going to have some holes in him or something.
He's bleeding. He's damn near dead, but the hubcap comes out and fucking Slash can't take it.
Yeah. So Jamie takes the boot. He's out for it. But that distracts James enough from Slash, and then you're able to get the hubcap. You take Slash out. Boom. It's
some kind of way in this finish. James Mitchell puts his fucking boot point in Jamie's butthole.
Oh, my God.
That's the best part.
Jamie. We love you, man.
Oh, do we?
That was awesome. Well, Wolfie D wins. That's awesome. Yeah, good question, Keenan. That was fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got, brother. That was a good one.
Well, that's all I got, man. Thank you, Ricky Santana. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, listeners. And, tune in next week, and hopefully we can entertain you one more time.
Still live and in color on the Wolfie D. It's Wolfie D, baby. I got a cap for your dome. We got a cap for your dome.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Chic, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all. And all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
That's right, it's the talk of Middle Tennessee, the channel you love to hate and the channel you hate to love. It's Brian Turner from Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. And if you're looking for matches from Wolfie D to Jerry Lawler to Dusty Rhodes and the team that put a pimp before your eyes and a goatee between your thighs, Booty Call and Athena, go to lostwrestling.com. See, I made it easy for you. Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. Booyah.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com, and to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
Hi, this is Mike Needham, host of the Reckless Abandon Podcast with Mike Needham. We invite you to jump on your favorite podcast platform and search for the Reckless Abandon Podcast and give us a listen. I'm sometimes joined by a part-time podcaster, part-time co-host, and full-time wife, Tiffany Nicole. We talk wrestling, we talk pop culture, we talk local events, local happenings in West Tennessee, and a ton of other stuff. But be sure to check out the Reckless Abandon Podcast. Find us on Facebook. Also, look up the Microgroup Podcasting family on Facebook and see some of our other podcasts we have out there. Until next time, make good choices and always remember, no dollar, no dice.
So that was another great episode. Hey, Wolfie, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Jimmy, they can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. I'm just kidding. They can find me on Facebook. My personal page is Warren Wolf, WOLFE. I'm on Instagram at WarrenWolf13.
You can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Wolfie D. Here's the thing. Wolfie always has offers for his autographed photos. He has a selection of some awesome photos from throughout his career that he will autograph and personalize any way that you want him to. Just contact him either directly at his personal Facebook page or through any one of our other pages, and we'll make sure you get in contact directly with Wolfie. Get those photos, right, Wolfie?
Yeah, I've got some good stuff on there, to help with the podcast.
Folks, if you can't get out to a show to meet Wolfie D, there's nothing like that, especially for the fans of PG-13 and Wolfie D. And before we go, you can always find me, your host, Jimmy Street, at James Rock Street on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
And hey, Jimmy, before we go real quick, I just want to add in there, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate, first of all, the work you've done for this podcast. You have worked your butt off. Secondly, the people that are liking the page. Beyond that, even more, is the people that are listening, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the podcast drops a new episode every Monday at noon, and our past episodes are streaming now on demand on all major podcast formats. Thanks again.
I got a cap for your dome. He got a cap for your dome. I got a cap for your dome. He got a cap for your dome. He got a cap for your dome. And here we go. The original white boy that came out sagging, not bragging, don't be hating, cause I'm spitting the truth. Still livin' in color. From Rush, your mother, utilize a hubcap, unlike any other. Back in the day, I was NOD, and I was P to the G, plus the 1 and the 3. In case you forgot, they call me Wolfie D. Been cloned and copied so many times, tired of suckers taking credit for what is mine. You know who you are without me name dropping. Wrestling's first white boy coming out hip hopping. Been doing it like this since '92. Laid low for a while and you thought I was through. Listen real close to these rhymes that I've injected. This shit's so sick it makes your ears get infected. Mad skills, no faking, there is no one great. Cause I'm bringing more folks than Obi-Wan or Vader. Not here to play games, so you better beware. You don't like me, so what? I really don't care. Like time I keep ticking and I can't be stopped. You sucker step to the side unless you wanna get dropped. With my finish, I'll straight knock you out. Please allow me to tell you what it's all about. I'm gonna wind it up, then I'm driving it home. It's Wolfie D, baby. I got a cap for your dome. I got a cap for your dome. We got a cap for your dome. We got a cap for your dome.
This has been a James Rock Street production.